but nobody can stop McDonald. Listen, Copper, two of the league's best players in transition. The Fever want to keep Phoenix out of that.
In what can only be described as a seismic jolt to the WNBA landscape, Indiana Fever superstar Caitlin Clark has stirred the pot yet again this time. Not with her signature logo-range three-pointer or a behind-the-back dime, but with her unexpected physical presence in Seattle. And she wasn't sitting courtside in a hoodie and sweats, watching from a distance like so many injured players often do. No, Caitlin Clark arrived at the Climate Pledge Arena dressed in full practice gear, cleats laced, shooting sleeve on eyes sharp and locked in. This wasn't just a passive appearance. This was a signal, loud, bold, and impossible to ignore. The question echoing from the stands to social media, from broadcast desks to locker rooms, was simple and electric. Is Caitlin Clark playing tonight? The moment was surreal, almost cinematic. Fans lined up outside the arena with expectations centered around another tough Fever matchup, especially amid Clark's absence from recent games due to a lingering groin injury that had derailed her otherwise historic rookie campaign. But everything changed the moment Clark's tall frame appeared on camera, briskly walking through the tunnel into the arena, not in streetwear or a protective wrap, but fully kitted out. It wasn't a disguise, and it wasn't subtle. She looked ready to warm up, ready to play, ready to remind everyone why she was the biggest name in women's basketball right now. Phone cameras immediately sprang into action as fans gasped and chanted her name. The buzz was instantaneous, rippling across social media like a shockwave. Within minutes, clips of Clark and her Fever gear were trending on X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Blogs and sports news sites rushed to post breaking alerts. Was this a last-minute decision? A misdirection? A comeback tease? Nobody knew. The Indiana Fever remained radio silent. Their pre-game media availability offered no hints. Even the official WNBA injury report, usually updated religiously before tip-off, had not listed Clark as inactive. That omission alone sent conspiracy theories into overdrive. After all, in the hyper-controlled high-stakes world of professional basketball, nothing is ever a coincidence. Inside the arena, players from both teams could be seen glancing toward the Fever tunnel, where Clark eventually emerged during shoot. Her movements weren't erratic or cautious. She was running, stretching, passing, shooting, not going full contact, no, but clearly testing herself, clearly engaged. This was no ceremonial appearance. This was a statement. And while the Fever, as a unit, arrived together, with key players like Chloe Bibby and Lexi Hull also spotted entering the arena, all eyes were on Clark. She didn't speak to the media, she didn't wave to the crowd, but she didn't have to. Her presence said more than any soundbite ever could. For fans in Seattle, many of whom had bought tickets, specifically hoping to see Clark-Livia appearance alone, felt like a win. For everyone else, it raised 1,000 new questions. Clark's abrupt reappearance, especially in such a high-profile matchup, and after weeks of uncertainty, couldn't have come at a more loaded time. The league has been thirsting for her return, not just because she's a superstar, but because her absence has been sorely felt. Ratings have dipped noticeably since her injury, and Fever games, once the hottest ticket in town, started seeing patchier attendance. She isn't just another rookie. She's the engine, the narrative, the eyes and ears and engagement magnet the WNBA needs. And now, the possibility that she might return tonight or in the very near future has reignited the fervor. But the story doesn't stop at her physical comeback. No, this moment also reopens a larger, more polarizing issue that has dominated WNBA discourse for the past 2 months. Clark's Olympic snub. The decision to exclude Caitlin Clark from the Team USA roster heading to Paris was met with instant backlash from fans, influencers, and even former players. For weeks, the discourse raged. Was it a basketball decision or a political one? Did Team USA want cohesion, or were they threatened by her spotlight? Was she left off because she hadn't yet earned her stripes, or because her presence might eclipse the team's veterans? Clark herself remained diplomatic in public interviews, saying all the right things, that she respects the coaching staff's decision, that she uses it as motivation, that her time will come. But behind the scenes, whispers have grown louder. Insiders claim that certain WNBA veterans lobbied against her inclusion, arguing she hadn't paid her dues. Others believe USA Basketball simply didn't want the circus that follows her crowds, cameras, and controversy. But now, with Clark potentially returning in full view, right as Team USA begins final preparations for Paris, the optics have shifted again. Her unexpected presence in Seattle is already being interpreted as a subtle countermessage. I'm ready, I've healed, I'm here, and you left me behind. Social media exploded not just with game speculation, but with renewed outrage. She's healthy and they still left her off Team USA. One post read, "The politics in women's basketball are ruining the game," said another. Trending hashtags like #ClarkSnub, #Justice for Clark, and #LetHerHoop made a roaring return, dominating timelines once again. ESPN, Bleacher Report, and sports podcasts scrambled to reframe the narrative. Several analysts now questioned whether Clark's injury status was exaggerated, whether the Fever had played a strategic long game to keep her out of unnecessary risk ahead of the Olympic break, or whether USA Basketball simply miscalculated, assuming she wouldn't be ready in time and wanting to avoid taking that risk. If she plays even limited minutes in Seattle tonight, it'll be undeniable. The biggest name in women's hoops was passed over for a team that may need her the most. Meanwhile, her teammates have taken this sudden momentum in stride. Chloe, Bibby, who's grown into a leadership role in Clark's absence, has been vocal about how tight-knit the locker room remains. "We've had to step up, all of us. But we always said we're holding it down until she's back," Bibby told reporters earlier in the week. Lexi Hull echoed the sentiment, saying, "People forget that Caitlin's presence alone changes how teams defend us. She draws the attention, and we feed off that. She makes everyone better." The Fever, for all their struggles and the media chaos swirling around them, have quietly turned into one of the most resilient teams in the league. They've won key games without Clark, stayed competitive, and leaned on unexpected contributors. But if she does return tonight or even just warms up, everything changes. The playbook expands, the spacing improves, the fans ignite. There's also the pressure of timing. The WNBA's Olympic break is looming, and teams are scrambling to finish the first half of the season strong. A healthy Clark returning now doesn't just boost Indiana, it changes the playoff picture. It creates new matchups, new rivalries, new stakes. And it throws a wrench in the idea that she should have been brought along slowly. If she's good to go now, what does that say about the decision to leave her off the biggest stage in sports? Media critics like Jason Whitlock and Clay Travis have already jumped in, suggesting this was always about control, not readiness. They didn't want her to take over the Olympic spotlight, Whitlock tweeted. "Well, guess what? She just did it without even touching the court." Travis added, "The WNBA just got upstaged by its own most valuable player and she's not even playing. Think about that." Of course, not everyone agrees. Some defenders of the Team USA decision insist it was purely tactical. "You build Olympic teams for chemistry, not headlines," said one former WNBA player on a morning sports show. Clark is amazing, but Paris isn't the place to develop young talent. Still, the timing of her marquee opponent, in a media-heavy city like Seattle, wearing full gear is hard to interpret as anything but intentional. And for Clark, who's always balanced public humility with private fire, this could be the start of a calculated resurgence, a way to turn the page from injury, from exclusion, and from being treated as a marketing tool rather than a fully respected competitor. She doesn't need to say a word. She knows the cameras are rolling. The fans are watching. The critics are typing. And all she has to do is step on the floor of in for a few seconds to rewrite the story yet again. As game time approaches, the Fever pitch continues. The arena is sold out. The atmosphere is electric. The Fever have remained tight-lipped, neither confirming nor denying whether Clark will take the court. But insiders say the staff is prepared for both scenarios. Warm-ups are being closely monitored. Social media sleuths are scanning the court for sins, ankle tape, warm-up patterns, even facial expressions. Whether or not she plays tonight almost doesn't matter anymore. The moment has already done its job. It's shifted the momentum. It's reminded the league, the fans, and the world that Caitlin Clark is still the centerpiece, still the needle mover, still the story. And whether she's in Paris or not, on the bench or on the floor, the WNBA revolves around her. The silence from Team USA, the sudden emergence of full gear, the stunned crowd reactions, the teammates rallying, the media scrambling, all of it culminates in a single, undeniable truth. Caitlin Clark may have been snubbed, but she's not going anywhere. She's not going anywhere.
Gives Phoenix an 8-point lead. Christine, a little bit earlier, I asked Diana, what was your playing weight at Yukon? She said 180.
In what can only be described as a jaw-dropping moment, the WNBA world was set ablaze when Indiana Fever rookie sensation Caitlin Clark was spotted in Seattle, not as a spectator, not in a medical boot or street clothes, but fully dressed out, in her practice uniform, something no one saw coming. It was an electrifying moment that sent shockwaves across the league and social media alike. Cameras rolled, fans screamed, and cell phones flashed as Clark walked into Seattle's Climate Pledge Arena with an unmistakable air of focus and determination. With each step she took through the tunnel, speculation soared to new heights. Could she really be making a surprise return to the court after being sidelined with a groin injury? Could this be the moment her long-anticipated comeback begins? What made this moment so dramatic wasn't just her presence, it was the silence surrounding it. Up to that point, the Indiana Fever had released no definitive update on Clark's playing status. There was no mention of her being listed as inactive, no press release, no warning, and certainly no denial. It was as if the organization had opted to let the moment speak for itself. And speak it did. The imagery of Clark fully geared up, quietly, slipping into the arena ahead of the game, created instant buzz and launched thousands of tweets within minutes. Commentators, journalists, and fans alike scrambled to interpret the situation. Was she simply warming up? Was she just traveling with the team to maintain morale? Or was something bigger happening behind the scenes? Adding to the anticipation, her Indiana Fever teammates, most notably Chloe Bibby and Lexi Hull, were also seen arriving at the arena. But none drew the spotlight quite like Clark. Bibby, who has stepped up in a huge way during Clark's absence, offered brief nods and waves to fans. But the question remained, was Bibby's time as the team's offensive focal point coming to an end, as